Hi guys, Dennis here from Denny Bob's RC. Hey, I am going to do a second video of my Tamiya, Bruder, Mack, Granite dump truck build. I'm just going to kind of go over what I have done since the last time I shot a video. So this is video number 2. So anyway, here we go. Okay, one of the things I did end up doing is last night I built some fender skirts or fender flares for the side of the box. This is bent out of aluminum, and then it has some aluminum caps attached to it, just to kind of dress the box up a little bit. It looks a little off scale. Simply, I'll be honest with you, once I get it all colored and matched the same color, everything will kind of blend and not be so obnoxiously, what do you want to call it, stand out so much. But I fabricated my rear pivot for the box and the fender flares. I finally have got my cab all fastened on, and my hood hinges up, and my cab is fastened. Basically, baked some bracket, made an angle iron bracket here, and had some M3 standoffs. I'm going to take and trim this down just a little bit, or I'll leave it. It don't really matter. I made a couple of brackets for the front of the cab. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it all or not. It fastens the front of the cab to it. Made myself a hinge out of brass for the bumper, so that it or for the hood, excuse me, not bumper, and snaps tight, and seems to work pretty good. Now the front bumper I have on here is actually from a Tamiya night hauler, is what this is. I had an extra bumper around here. I was just going to see if it kind of fit the shape and whatnot. If I don't like it, it's no big deal. I do have, can't find it right at the moment, but I do have the original Bruder Mack front bumper for it too. If I want to try making that kind of fit on it too. I threw this on here for now. I did have to re-drill and tap and take the front bumper mount, the stock Tamiya bumper mount, and cut that off because that sticks way out, and re-drill and tap some holes in the stock bumper mount. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I did add some mud flaps to the back. This is actually just a bracket for my in the first video I shot, I have the turntable that I can put the truck on, and what I'm going to end up doing is actually taking this bumper back off, screw that other plate to it. That way I can get this back up on the stand and turn it. Makes it a lot easier to work on. It really does. Debating on whether to put a cheater axle, some call it a lift axle, whatever. I haven't decided yet. I may or may not. I just, it's trying to figure out the proper mechanism to get it to do so. The nice thing about this is, since this is a planetary drive, I don't have the second servo in here to, the second servo is not in here to shift the transmission. So I could put another servo in here and run a linkage back along the frame to raise and lower the cheater axle. I just haven't really decided if that's what I want to do yet or not. Unless you can get that functional, there's no point in having it on there. Just simply because if you leave it non-functional, it ends up getting you more hung up when you're off-roading than doing you any good. Makes it harder to steer when it's down, and everything else. So that's just, I'm not sure if I'm going to stay with the red color yet. If I can find a paint match this red, then I'll probably match that. If I can't, what I'll probably end up doing is repainting the whole truck. I mean, I'll take it all apart, sand it, wet sand it all down, scrub it up with soapy water, and get it all nice and clean. Get the oily residue out of it, and paint the whole truck. Um, the body parts at least. I think I'll leave the rest of it all black like it is. It should be fine. Some of the mounting brackets, I may pull them off and paint them, and just kind of make it all kind of look somewhat nice. Um, these are just temporary white wheels that I have to put the tires and get my sizes all set. I have a set of white aluminums coming for the front, and I've got aluminum wheels coming for the rear that I will take and polish. I get them through Hydraulic Hobbies, so they're really nice when they're polished up and look really good. And I've got enough rims here that I can do a cheater and have matching rims. Still haven't really debated on doing that yet, because I may put aluminum rim on the front, and I might go with my white Bud wheels that I have on the rear. I've seen different dump trucks set up that way. It's all up in the air yet. I really haven't decided. I'm just kind of working on it as I go. It's kind of a work in progress. Took some time off today to work on another project and do some upgrades to that. So, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. What I'm going to try to do is get a telescoping cylinder. I actually got some ordered, and I'm going to try to attach it to this stock Bruder can for the telescoping cylinder that they use from the factory, and I'll get that mounted in there. And I got my hydraulic tank. I also got that mounted. My only curiosity is this is a pretty small, it's a 50 millimeter long tank, and I don't know the exact volume of the tank, especially with these one-way stage cylinders. You pump all the oil out of it to raise the box. So what I'm hoping doesn't happen is I run the reservoir dry before the cylinder gets a chance to go all the way up, and then put air in the system. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I kind of wanted to keep this a shorter tank here, just simply because I may want to put a lift axle in here, and I want to keep everything in this way. Now, just a second. Well, I'm going to have to do some editing there. I hit the off button. Anyway, instead of putting the pause, I gotta watch out where I push my fingers, I guess. My main plan here, this is the little hydraulic pump that I'm going to use for that. And the plan is to pull this tank, the stock fuel tank here, and hollow out the back side of it. I'm actually going to use some aluminum mounting brackets instead of the factory plastic for the Tamiya. And I'm going to mount this pump. The plan is to mount the pump on the inside there, and then have the pump basically hidden inside covered up by this tank. I'll build a plate that will bolt to the bottom of this with the 4 screws that hold this on, and have that attached to it, and I'm going to run my hoses in and out the back side, basically out of the bottom of the tank to the suction side of the pump, and which should be doesn't matter with this one, because you're going to basically, how this does is you have a bidirectional ESC. Basically, it runs the pump one way to raise it and sucks the oil back out to lower it. So don't matter which side's in or out on these, because they're gear pumps. But get that pump mounted in there. I think I've got plenty of room. When I get to that point, I'll see what it's going to take. But I need to reinforce that with some aluminum, an aluminum plate on the inside to have this fastened to, just to make it more solid. I don't want to expect this plastic to hold this hydraulic pump there. And then when I get my ESC for my drive and my ESC for my hydraulic pump, they'll all both be in here, so it won't be that far to run wires and everything. and it won't be far to run. On some of my trucks, I've put the hydraulic pump here. I've put the hydraulic pump back here. The only problem with that is the pump sits higher than the tank. So as they set over time, all the hydraulic oil tends to go back to the tank. And then when I get the truck after setting a few months, or 3-4 months, 6 months, whatever, I have to work the air back out of the system again. And that's the disadvantage of the one-way cylinders. It's hard to get the air worked out of them. But that's the plan anyway. I'm pretty happy with how the fender skirts, or fender flares, or box flares, whatever you want to call them. They're fenders for the... And a few guys have said, why didn't you just make them so that they just cover the rear wheels? Yeah, I could have done that. But then if I go to put a cheater on, then I got to go redo it all. If I don't do it, big deal. I've seen them with just tandems on and the skirts on. So I've seen these trucks multiple ways. So I'll get it figured out. And I'll build it how I want it. So anyway, hopefully that kind of helps a few of you kind of go along with the build process. I would love to sit here and build as I go, but I don't have time for that. My mind's working on trying to figure stuff out, and then to take time to videotape everything doesn't work for me. So better off kind of going around and just kind of showing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I'm going to pull the camera off, and I'm going to kind of go around it a little bit. Kind of give a close-up of it. And those are the JHR Customs 78 millimeter solid rubber tires. No foams in these, folks. These are solid rubber, but they are still very pliable and very flexible. But here's kind of a close-up of my hinge mechanism. Some extra Tamiya parts that I had laying around, and I try to use some stuff that's common and stuff that I've got stacked in here. There's the rear mount of the cab, and there's the front mount of the cab, and then the brass hinge. And that brass hinge is kind of a pain because it's like a 1/2 inch wide piece of brass, and it's attached to the bottom of the front grille with some screws up through, and then it hinges on the very front mount up here. The problem you run into is you bend it over, and then you gotta grind it around, and then you gotta make it so that it clears the front here when you're opening it. If you just have a flat strap that goes over the crop, it gets hung up right here and won't even let the hood open. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. The hydraulic tank on there and everything, and kind of to show you, it's hard to judge this by the depth of it because this pump looks huge compared to that tank, but it's not. Got to get it depth-wise to look at it properly. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the progress so far. Yeah, you guys will have to let me know what you think. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. I feel like a head cold coming on, and that's just what I don't want. So I'm going to go in and take some stuff and knock myself out. Maybe I'll feel better tomorrow. And go from there. So anyway, I hope this kind of been somewhat educational to you guys. So catch you guys later.